Image Awards, honoring her public service and advocacy on issues from childhood hunger to social justice. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new Chili Crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and toss in a fiery crisp paired with a premium Waba beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got an important win Thursday night heading into the All-Star break. They needed a win after losing their last two at home. The Lakers beat Dallas 124-104, a game in which LeBron made more history. At age 41, LeBron became the oldest NBA player to post a triple-double, 28 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. The Lakers go into the break with a 33-21 record, fifth in the Western Conference. Tonight's NBA HBCU Classic at the Forum will be a conference game for Hampton University and North Carolina A&T. Both schools are now in the Coastal Athletic Conference after being longtime members in the MEAC Conference. This will be the sixth HBCU Classic during NBA All-Star Weekend. The NBA started the event in 2021 with the intent of creating more exposure for HBCU men's basketball programs. 8 o'clock tip-off tonight in Inglewood. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Check it out. After nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, poets, and cultural icons, I have learned that the difference between a good conversation and an unforgettable one is not what you say, it is how you listen. Most people listen to respond. I learned to listen to learn and follow. When you master this, something remarkable happens. People just open up. They leave the conversation feeling truly heard, and they never forget you. Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, and for the first time in my life, I'm teaching everything I have learned. The Art of Conversation, a 4-week masterclass for podcasters, leaders, and professionals who understand that the ability to connect is their greatest competitive advantage. Our founding cohort starts Monday, February the 16th, and only a limited number of seats remain. Enroll right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com.
Yeah, this is all good.
Several trillion. It is Freedman Friday. We do this every week. We've been doing it over 2 years, Miles. 2 years of reparations every Friday, second hour of the show. Why? Because we want to be informed. We want to be part of the solution. We want to understand what is the harm, what is the repair that's needed, how can we achieve these goals, and celebrate all of the strides that are being made locally at the city, county, state levels, hopefully one day at the federal level, and certainly internationally. There's a lot to track, a lot to celebrate. I can't believe how much I've learned, and every time I try to prepare for this show, I say, oh, how did I miss that? There's so much going on. I am thrilled to welcome in a filmmaker. She's actually got her inaugural film in the Pan-African Film Festival, but she's also a professor of education at Morehouse College and the director of this film called Belonging Beyond Brown. She's an educator, a researcher. Her creative work explores identity, history, and belonging within and beyond the educational context. She helps learners and leaders to transform those systems and build new models. And we will learn about her work, what she discovered, what it has to do with reparations. Certainly education has to be part of that equation for a people, the only people in this country who were banned by law from reading books and writing anything. Dr. Nina Gilbert, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
It's a pleasure to have you on. I want to start with, we'll get into your film because it's quite an achievement, and folks can go see it. I think it helps paint the picture of what is needed, right, from what I can see. But talk to me about, your work, getting to be a professor of education, choosing that path, and at a HBCU, no less, and what you learned about disparities in education, and where those disparities, where the seeds or roots of those unequal results come from in what you've seen in your research.
Sure. Yes. So I have to start by saying I am the daughter of two educators, so I didn't have much of a choice, although I tried to resist that path. Spent so much time in classrooms growing up, playing school, being in the classroom with my parents, but I ultimately got pulled back into that space. No regrets there. But yes, I am a proud professor, teacher. I start with a scholar practitioner or practitioner scholar because my first love is teaching students, and then I kind of journeyed into this creative filmmaking role. But I have the pleasure and the honor and privilege of working with these amazing young men at Morehouse College, and my work focuses on preparing the next generation of educators. So my scholarship and creative work has just focused in the last few years on the history and future of Black education. And I became really interested in this as we were approaching the 70th commemoration of Brown v. Board. And I was asking myself a very critical question at the same time, because this kind of clarion call that I kept hearing is like, we have to have more Black male teachers. We have to have more Black male teachers. Well, my father was an educator. His fraternity brothers were educators. Most of the men at my church, it's a small town, but there are so many Black educators in my hometown. That statistic was just incompatible with my own lived experience. And so I started to wonder, well, what happened to them? I know they existed at one point. And I also knew that if my work had to center around repairing this broken pipeline that we obviously did not create, I needed to know where it began. And so I just started by asking questions of my parents, those in my community, like, when the schools integrated, what happened to all of the teachers? My parents were among the first 7 or 8 Black faculty members that integrated the all-white faculty of the high school in my hometown. And so they were leaving a school with several, if not close to 100 Black teachers. I'm like, if there are only 7 or 8 of you that went to the white school, what happened to the others? And my mother's response was, I don't really know. And she probably remembered, but that memory had been suppressed because there was some trauma associated with that transition. So that's when I really started exploring in earnest, like, what happened. And what I've learned over the time, that this was not a legal victory. There are human consequences here, because over 100,000 Black educators lost their jobs. in the wake of that decision.
I never knew that. That's insane.
Yes. Yes. So that is the work of Dr. Leslie Fenwick, who happened to be my professor when I attended graduate school at Clark Atlanta University, and she would go on to become the dean of the School of Education at Howard University. And Dr. Fenwick's work is Jim Crow's Pink Slip. And if you've not read it, I just suggest everyone read that book if you're at all interested in understanding what happened after Brown v. Board. Yes, we had access to buildings and facilities and resources, and someone could see me, they would see I'm doing big air quotes. We had those resources, but we lost something else, and that's what my film explores.
And that alone is just such a stunning figure. 100,000 Black educators losing jobs as a result of something that we have grown up thinking was this landmark civil rights achievement, Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yeah, so I had to think about this. Are we supposed to be celebrating, when something reaches the 70th year milestone, we often think of an achievement or a celebration, but the more I started tapping into the memories of folks who experienced that, yes, I could definitely tell it was a time to commemorate, but celebrate, not so much. So we can celebrate desegregation because there's a stark difference between desegregating and integrating. And I've learned over time that we did not truly integrate, but we did desegregate a system, but we lost so much. And so I'm continuing to explore what we lost, and then how do we reclaim that.
That's so fascinating. Break down for me when you say there's a difference between integrating and desegregating. I think most people assume when you desegregate, you automatically integrate. I think school systems are a great example of why that's not true. And one of the assumptions has been, well, when we finally get to the point where, people are really in the same classrooms, maybe we'll get the same education. I have seen this in both Northern and Southern California. As a radio host, I get invited to do career days and speak to the children and different kinds of appearances, broadcasts, and the amount of segregation that remains in our schools is astounding.
So it's interesting. You just said it. You said you get invited to go and do these things. If you think about integration, that would seem there would be some type of invitation for groups to come together, right? So if you are taking students out of a place where they were loved, nurtured, protected, their brilliance was identified, it was protected, it was acknowledged, and you place them into a hostile environment, right? You are desegregating and not integrating because it requires that both parties are in full agreement with the coming together of these two groups, right? And if it was true integration, then white children would have come to Black schools because there was something valuable there. Or you could have integrated resources. You could have shared the same resources that existed in those white schools with Black schools. But no, you took babies out of these safe environments with teachers who love them and placed them in hostile environments where there was so much resistance there. So that's the difference.
Just hearing you say that, it just hurts my heart because I took my own child and put him in a very hostile environment, looking for the best possible education. Statistically, I'm looking at the data. This is where the rulers of this society are being educated. So my child should go there because I need him to be getting a world leader level education. But the price for that, in terms of macro aggressions and hostility, I often look back and wonder if I made the right decision.
Yeah. And we make those choices daily. My husband and I mortgaged our way into what we thought was the best school system in our district outside of Atlanta. And although we did that, we still had to kick the doors into AP courses and honors courses. And my boys were both told they were not college material. They were told that they should attend technical colleges. And my son who played football, I was told he should attend a junior college. And for my daughter, I had to build the school I wanted for her.
Wow.
So I started the first all-girls charter school in the state of Georgia. And so, and my children would go on to not just go to college, but all three have advanced degrees.
I should have sent them. I should have sent my kid over to your house. No, I'm just playing. Mine is in college right now, but I mean, yeah, it's a really interesting point. And when we talk about reparations, we are not just talking about the direct impact of enslavement. We are talking about the results of Jim Crow and the subsequent harms. And certainly, it sounds like your film, which we are going to discuss when we come forward. It's called Belonging Beyond Brown, and it is playing Thursday, February 19th at noon at the Culver Theater. We're going to talk about some of the things you discovered and how they're reflected in this film. It is part of repair. Part of repair is understanding the harm, and as you said early in the conversation, figuring out how to fix it. It's a Friedman Friday on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
We got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He's been married for 6 years. Videotaping his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her ugly mother down the church. Getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
KBLA Talk 1580 thanks LA City Council members Curran D. Price Jr. and Heather Hutt for being the presenting sponsors at this year's Black History Month Luncheon. Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on. Here come the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power! Fight the power! Fight the power!
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Yes, it is a Freedman Friday. I do want to give a shout out to Crenshaw High. I'm so happy to see the community love everywhere for Crenshaw High. No shade to Dorsey. And they are having a special event for All-Star Weekend. Yes, it's All-Star Weekend. It's not just Valentine's and Black Love Day. The Marathon Burger is teaming up with Nike, and they are having an event today and tomorrow at Crenshaw High School. They're going to have hoops, food, special activations, and they say good vibes. So if you're like me and you're not invited to the big NBA parties, you might want to stop by Crenshaw High. Or if you just want to support the Shaw, support students in a black and now black and brown school. Well, it's a public school. But it is a beloved community institution. You can do that today and tomorrow. We're talking with Dr. Nina Gilbert. She's a professor of education at Morehouse College and now a movie director. Tell us what led to the making of this movie, and let's talk about some of what you discovered while doing so.
So what led to it, once again, I mentioned that I was just curious. It started with a question. I felt that in order to do my job effectively, if we were looking at repairing this pipeline, and I really hate using the term pipeline because it kind of dehumanizes, right? It looks at us as a commodity, but for the sake of the conversation, but looking at this pathway or a road to the classroom for our black male educators and all educators, I needed to know where the leaks started to happen. And I felt like just doing this work as a scholar, which, shout out to all of my academic colleagues who are, working hard every single day doing the brain work of research and the traditional forms of research that will go into these peer-reviewed journals and articles that we read within our community and don't often share it with the broader community. I wanted my work to be inclusive and recorded and accessible. I wanted to see or have the folks I talk to see themselves as subject matter experts as it relates to their own memories and not just subjects of my research. So what started as just me asking questions out of curiosity and then using inquiry as a scholar to kind of understand, what led to, a certain place in history and even how it impacts us today, I decided to do most of this work using digital formats. Leaning on our oral traditions of storytelling, I just believe that it was important to memorialize these conversations. Many of them I had with like my own mother, who's in her 80s. My father, who's an educator, died in his early 50s. Could not capture his full story. But my Sunday school teacher, who was, also an educator, and my husband's middle school teacher, is 104.
Amazing.
She's still alive.
Yeah.
Yes. So I needed to memorialize these conversations, and that's what led to this becoming a film.
And a film many times is not exactly what you think it's going to be when you set out. From talking to so many filmmakers, there are things that unfold and present themselves along the way. Did that happen to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So many things surprised me along the way. I would say that there are some things that, shocked me and bothered me around, just the technical and logistical part of the work, and I'll share that. But I think, the creative part of the work was fascinating, looking for various ways to tell the story. So regardless of age or stage of life, that folks would feel compelled to sit through 60 minutes. And what started as a short film, like it was just going to be, there's so much we left on the cutting room floor, so many stories left untold. We're going to continue the work, so it likely will end up being a docuseries. But, just hearing those stories is fascinating. And I think there's a danger in a single story. We often hear of the story of Ruby Bridges and the Little Rock Nine, but there were towns and cities and communities all over the country, all over the South, other parts of the country as well, where these stories existed, but we only highlight a handful. One thing that really surprised me is that we don't own, in many cases, our own stories. They're narrated by others. They are profited by others, or others receive profit on our stories. And what I mean by that is that the archival materials that I needed to acquire and the rights that I had to acquire were owned by predominantly white institutions. So
yeah,
while
that,
speaking to someone who's sitting in front of me,
it's pervasive. I mean, and if even not just historical but modern images. I mean, I looking for images of my own dad. White institutions own a lot of those images of my papa, which means I would have to pay them to use a picture of my father.
Absolutely. I am sitting there interviewing someone, Dr. Leona Tate, who actually integrated schools, McDonough 19 in New Orleans, approximately 20 minutes before Ruby Bridges. And there are images of her as a 6-year-old that she does not even own. And so some of the images that folks will see in our documentary cost us $200 per second.
Wow.
$200 per second. And so when you think about the same material that's being banned out of books and banned in curriculum, and teachers are told they cannot teach that, so we're dismissed as if it's not relevant or it brings harm to students to see this. Other institutions, white institutions, museums, they own this, and we had to pay for that. So, what I am just imploring people to do is to make sure that they protect, their stories, their images, their documents. If not, other folks will take advantage of that for sure and profit from it.
Yeah, and really control the narrative in the sense that if they can charge you $200 a minute, but if they decided not to share that, you're going to have to find another way to tell the story without showing the pictures. That said, Morehouse is a producer on the film, right? A backer in some way.
So,
yeah.
Absolutely. So I was, this is my scholarship. So as a part of my work as a tenure track scholar, this is embedded in my research. However, they were generous and wonderful enough to say, hey, you have full creative control. I had secured a grant from the Gilead Foundation, actually, that allowed me to do this work. And so Morehouse is a huge supporter and collaborator. There are a lot of locations on campus where we filmed. Our students and alum and faculty are featured prominently throughout the film. So Morehouse is an integral part of this project.
Well, we have news, traffic, and sports right here, but we'll continue on the other side. One of the things I'm really curious about is you asked your mom, what happened to all the other 96 educators that didn't get those jobs in that one small town? She didn't remember, but I believe you figured it out. You found out. That's one of the things I want to look at. And when we talk about repair, many times we're talking about gaps, closing gaps in income, in wealth, in education, in housing. What are the gaps we need to close in our educational, I don't know what you call it, canon? We've got news, traffic, and sports, then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Nearly 24 Buddhist monks were welcomed in Annapolis as they finished their months-long walk for peace, which began in Texas last October.
No one can do this for us. We have to do it ourselves.
After reaching D.C. this week, they continued into Maryland, greeted by Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller and 12,000 supporters before meeting privately with Black Governor Wes Moore and the First Lady. Students at Spelman College are raising concerns after learning a male staff member has been temporarily housed inside a residence hall at the all-women's school. Administrators say the faculty member has since moved out. Students also pointed to recent water outages in freshman dorms, saying both issues reflect a broader problem on campus. And Congress has officially renamed the House Press Gallery in honor of Frederick Douglass, recognizing his historic role as the first black journalist admitted to the Capitol Galleries in 1871. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new Chili Crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and toss in a fiery crisp paired with a premium Wab beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got an important win Thursday night heading into the All-Star break. They needed a win after losing their last two at home. The Lakers beat Dallas 124-104, a game in which LeBron made more history. At age 41, LeBron became the oldest NBA player to post a triple-double, 28 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. The Lakers go into the break with a 33-21 record, fifth in the Western Conference. Tonight's NBA HBCU Classic at the Forum will be a conference game for Hampton University and North Carolina A&T. Both schools are now in the Coastal Athletic Conference after being longtime members in the MEAC Conference. This will be the sixth HBCU Classic during NBA All-Star Weekend. The NBA started the event in 2021 with the intent of creating more exposure for HBCU men's basketball programs. 8 o'clock tip-off tonight in Inglewood. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
It's a Friedman Friday. We always talk about reparations every Friday this hour. In the news right now, a conservative organization of lawyers filing a class action lawsuit. No, this is not an old story. It's a rerun, another version of a story that happened before. This is Judicial Watch this time, suing Evanston to stop reparations payments to Black Evanstonians. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, there's another lawsuit. This one is suing the city of San Francisco for their ordinance establishing a reparation fund for Black residents, even though that fund is completely not funded at the moment. This is the Pacific Legal Foundation suing because they say that, and the Californians for Equal Rights, because they say this is a race-based program. And in Chicago, you have the suburb of Chicago. They're handing out, it's Evanston again, they handed out payments, cash payments, $25,000 to 44 Black residents through their reparations program, and that is part of what Judicial Watch is trying to stop. Picture these folks suing a Holocaust victims reparations fund. They would never move their pen nor open their lips to do such as that. So why are we fair game? It's food for thought. Continuing our conversation now with Dr. Nina Gilbert. She is a professor of education at Morehouse College. Her college teamed up with her now with her directorial debut. She is in the Pan-African Film and Arts Festival, which is going on right now. At least the arts part of it is. And her film is all about education. Belonging Beyond Brown is what it's called. BelongingBeyondBrown.com. You can find out more, or you can go see the film. It is happening next Thursday, the 19th at noon at the Culver Theater. And when you started out this conversation, Dr. Gilbert, saying, you know, your parents were educators, and in the small town where they were teaching, when Brown versus the Board of Education was enacted, and suddenly these Black schools, Black institutions were no longer relevant. They were among the 4 teachers that started teaching at a white high school there. You ask what happened to those other teachers. Mama, probably speaking from trauma, did not know. But what did you discover?
Well, I discovered that many of those teachers had to take different types of jobs that put them in different economic brackets. We knew, especially in the South, that a career as an educator was your entry into the Black middle class. So folks found themselves working lower wage-paying, jobs. Folks went into factory work, and she started to reflect. My mother, she started to reflect. She's like, well, I think, this person ended up moving back to Mississippi, and that person, started, selling insurance, and someone else. And she paused for a moment, and she said, well, I think she died. And of course, a lot of folks passed away, but what she really meant was like from the stress and the trauma. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing I discovered is that many of these educators were so more qualified. They had superior educations as compared to their white, counterparts. They had to. They started preparing. So in my hometown specifically, Brown was in 54. Our schools did not integrate in LaGrange, Georgia, which is about an hour south of Atlanta, did not integrate into 71.
Wow, it's
right?
almost 20 years later. So what's happening in the interim?
That was my question. We also explored that in the film, right? What are we doing in the meantime? I can tell you in other parts of the country, there was extreme resistance. Prince Edward County, Virginia, those folks were so resistant, they just shut down school. There was no school for 8 years for blacks or whites. No public schools. Right? So, yes.
I have never heard that before. Okay, now I'm really going to have to go see your film.
Yes.
That is so crazy.
In my hometown, in the meantime, black folks are going to get their graduate degrees. And there are these, I'm doing air quotes again, these scholarships provided for black teachers to, like, hey, why don't you go and get your master's degree, get your master's, but not here. And so a lot of teachers left the South to go to other schools. And there are a few schools like the elite institutions, Ohio State, Penn, Syracuse, Columbia. They offered scholarships for black teachers. And the southern states were hoping, like, you take those scholarships and you go up there and you get that advanced degree, but don't come back. And so Miss Grace Harvey, who is interviewed in my film, the 104-year-old teacher, she went to Albany State and an HBCU in Georgia, but got her master's from Columbia, an Ivy League institution, in the 40s or 50s or 60s, maybe, because she was, older,
student.
Yeah, she was probably around. Yeah, she was. So she went and got her master's and got on a train and came back to her segregated school. So by the time the schools integrated or desegregated, they were overqualified. And there were some teachers, white teachers, who did not have a certification, did not have a master's degree, and they were still making more than black teachers with masters and doctorates. So that's what happened.
So did you trace this to, or were you able to find some cause and effect with what we call an achievement gap now?
That's a tough one. Do I think we have, literacy rates and other achievement rates that are lower than they should be? Absolutely. But I also believe we are not evaluating and assessing the full potential and brilliance of our students, our black students specifically, because our curriculum is not culturally relevant, it's not culturally responsive, it does not acknowledge all of the ways in which we are literate. So in many ways, I feel the achievement gap has been artificially constructed.
Yeah, so interesting.
And we are chasing a standard that was never meant for us to be on par. And I think on par is subpar, because we are internationally not on par. There are other
You mean our
nations
country educationally is not internationally
our country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this whole thing around, these standards and black students not achieving at the same level, I think we keep moving the ball, the goal line, the finish line. But there's so many ways our students are, their brilliance has not been measured appropriately in many cases. And so there are a lot of things that we have to do to raise literacy rates and other achievement rates and outcomes. But we have to do that in a way that is intentional, and it aligns with the way that we learn, historically and traditionally. So that's what I'll say about that. And I've been complicit as a public school educator. I've done all the things, using curriculum that didn't work, and now tapping into, the ancestral, knowledge and traditions. I'm finding that's what I love about teaching at an HBCU, where I'm surrounded by brilliance every day.
It's interesting. I'm not an educator, but I am what we call an advocate parent. They hated to see me come, and here she comes again. But one of my theories, Doc, is that so many of our children who are labeled as so-called problem children or even put in special ed should be tested for being highly gifted. I had a brilliant black pre-K teacher who told me to get my child tested. And I said, oh, everyone thinks their kid is smart. And she said, no, go get your kid a test. And lo and behold, tested really high, even with their bias testing. And so I was able to at least advocate for him accordingly. And I think that a lot of our children who are labeled problem children are too smart for the cultural incompetence that they're being subjected to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of my good friends and a colleague that I just enjoy working with, Dr. Bettina Love, who teaches at Columbia Teachers College, she has just groundbreaking work, but in her latest book, Punished for Dreaming, she talks about all of the racist policies that has inflicted so much harm on our black children. And so oftentimes, where we are told that our children don't learn at the same level as white children, they are gifted in so many areas. And so, you talked about reparations, earlier, and that's it starts with recognizing what's happened and then being intentional about repair.
So,
and I think we have to really understand the difference between the two.
The difference between the two, which two?
Reparations and repair.
I mean,
right?
But isn't reparations repair?
Yes. I feel like reparations, the purpose it serves acknowledges that, there's harm.
Right.
And it's to stop the ongoing harm, and it kind of makes what was lost hold. But when I think of, repair, it's really about, just making sure that we restore as well. And I would say, I'll just give you some examples of what repair looks like. Because when I think of, a lot of folks think of reparations, they think of some type of monetary or economic return. I think that's important.
Right, and that is important. But it's supposed to be restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, guarantee of non-repetition, satisfaction. I mean, according to the UN, I understand you're talking about the common conception of reparations, which you're saying maybe people are just thinking about a check as opposed to what you're articulating, which is what?
Yeah. So I will say that if we're looking at repair, right? So educational repair, what that looks like is funding educator preparation programs at HBCUs, or fully funding education programs, loan forgiveness, institutional restoration, making sure that we're reinvesting in our black schools and communities, reclaiming our narratives, making sure that the curriculum is inclusive, like mandating that it's inclusive, protecting the intellectual freedom of our teachers, acknowledging, this history of displacement and erasure. Like, that's what I think of in repair, and actually being accountable, with the data, like showing over time how our contributions has not been publicly or accurately reported, how our students are brilliant and gifted, how the data does not reflect that. We constantly use these deficits-based talking points. Only 1% of the educator workforce is comprised of black teachers, or there are more black men in prison than in college. And another colleague,
which turns out not to be true if you only count college-age people. Right? It's not even close to
Dr.
true.
Ivory Tolson at Howard, has his work, some work around. It's called No BS, and it's bad statistics. And he, just reclaims the narrative around all of this these deficit-based stats and numbers that are not accurate. So that's part of the repair as well. So it's measurable and not just, something that seems performative. But I do believe that reparations, where there's a monetary, components, that's also important. So I'm not at all excluding that. Dr. Love talks about, she estimates that, and she's worked with economists, and she estimates that there's accumulated harm of about $1.5 to $2 trillion.
Yeah.
Like when you look at what was lost in the Black community.
Now, the reason I asked you about the so-called education gap is because when we're having conversations in the reparations space, which we do every Friday around here, we often talk about the wealth gap as a means of measuring that 1.5 to 2 trillion. I can't remember exactly what Dr. Sandy Darity, the economist, says something similar to that. He makes that calculation based on the wealth gap. So I wonder if there's a calculation that can be made of what is owed or what is needed for full, complete reparation in education.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. And I don't think you can monetize it, right? And so we're doing some work together around, things that you just can't put a dollar amount to, right? Like, how do you repay me for the joy that was lost, right? For the peace that was lost, for the trauma and the harm, the institutional, educational, harm that has been done to us for generations. So some of those losses go way beyond dollars. It's not financial, it's social, psychological, generational.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I thought about that. We talked about that with the Bruce's Beach case because they gave them the money, they gave them the land, they sold the land, they got the money, but you would never get back how differently maybe your health would be growing up, your lungs growing up in Manhattan Beach as opposed to whatever urban community they ended up moving to, the opportunities that you would get from proximity to the power and wealth of Manhattan Beach, which is mighty, had you been raised in those communities, and what business opportunities might come from that, and on it goes. So some of these things are unquantifiable, but I certainly find it interesting to think about that in terms of some of the really great kinds of solutions that you just put forth in terms of what it will take to do repair in the educational space. Where the hours fly by around here on this Freedman Friday, and every hour, talk to us more about your film. What we can look forward to, and what you're hoping we might get from it, and why we should support it, of course.
We're just excited to, join the Pan-African Film Festival, community. We're just honored to be accepted, into the film festival. And then we recently found out that we were nominated for Best First Feature, documentary First Feature. So I'm super thrilled about that. Thank you. And so, because it's one of the largest Black Academy qualifying festivals. And it's so important that the story that we're telling is being centered and highlighted in this global Black cultural space. And there's just this solidarity that exists there in education and storytelling. So I just invite folks who are interested in this work to come out and join us. I think you asked, what can people expect? I believe that folks will come and walk away with either their own new memories that maybe had been suppressed, and we're finding that whenever we screened all over the country now, and afterwards, people are in tears. Some are angry. Some feel, they have this new sense of resolve, and they're going home to talk to, the elders in their home. So folks will walk away with all types of next steps, but we do have our own call to action that we share during this time with our audience members. So we definitely invite folks to come out and just take part in the community building that we're doing, and hopefully move this call to action to remember, honor, imagine, and multiply. That's what we're doing.
I love that you have a
remembering,
call to action. So this is a film, and we get to learn and we get to enjoy, but also you're using it as a tool to move people into action.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, congratulations on your first directorial piece. That's a big deal. Not a lot of Black women directors, although we see slightly more. And from what I've seen, I only got to see a little bit. I haven't seen the whole film yet. It looks like very high production value. It looks like a very well put together piece.
Yes, and I had some privilege there because of the funding that I received. I was able to be thoughtful about finding a company, that could assist me in the storytelling, and folks that I felt like I could trust these stories and narratives with. And so I worked with, in addition to some of my colleagues at Morehouse, some of my students participated in the production. My own daughter, who's a filmmaker and a Hampton alum, and she has an MFA in film from the University of Georgia. She participated so much. I couldn't have done it without her. But Ming Media Group, the production company based in Philadelphia, they do such great work. And so they really helped me shape the stories and the interviews and my thinking and my writing. So I really appreciate the work of Elle Sawyer and John Kaufman and Gabe. I think Gabe's last name was Weiner, but Gabe Weiner, with the editing and all of that. But I cannot overlook the work of my students and colleagues who supported me with the research, meaning making that we had to do. So yes, it's actually been a very inclusive and community-based endeavor, and looking forward to continuing the work. We still have more stories to tell.
Well, that's amazing. We only have a minute here, but I have to ask you, given everything you uncovered, do you have hope for our education system here in the United States as it pertains to Black people specifically?
I don't have hope in the education. I don't hope in the systems. I hope in our people, who we are.
Yeah.
We are built for this. Now, we should not have to exist in this kind of spectrum and continuum of struggle all the time. We also deserve to have a life, filled with joy and expectancy and good things. But I have hope and trust and faith in our community, in the power of us. We are the people who brought you algebra and writing and fiber optics and pyramids. And no, the system is going to always do what systems do. It's built by man, it's broken by man, and that means man can also repair it if they want to, right? But if they don't, we know what to do in this case. And the folks who try to resist it the most must be terribly exhausted, to always try to find ways to stop the progress. But it can't be stopped. It won't be stopped. So that's where my faith lies, in the work of our collective community.
So well said, Dr. Nina Gilbert. Thank you for joining us. Do not forget to check out Belonging Beyond Brown. It is happening Thursday, the 19th at noon at the Culver Theater. You can go to belongingbeyondbrown.com. You can go to PAFF.org, the Pan-African Film Festival.org, and get your tickets. Dr. Gilbert, thanks for your work and thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you so much.
It's a Friedman Friday, but we're doing films. Next hour, more Pan-African Film Festival conversations, some great topics, some great filmmakers straight ahead, only right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Nearly 24 Buddhist monks were welcomed in Annapolis as they finished their months-long walk for peace, which began in Texas last October.
No one can do this for us. We have to do it ourselves.
After reaching D.C. this week, they continued into Maryland, greeted by Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller and 12,000 supporters before meeting privately with Black Governor Wes Moore and the First Lady. Students at Spelman College are raising concerns after learning a male staff member has been temporarily housed inside a residence hall at the all-women's school. Administrators say the faculty member has since moved out. Students also pointed to recent water outages in freshman dorms, saying both issues reflect a broader problem on campus. And Congress has officially renamed the House Press Gallery in honor of Frederick Douglass, recognizing his historic role as the first Black journalist admitted to the Capitol Galleries in 1871. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new chili crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and toss in a fiery crisp paired with a premium Waba beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got an important win Thursday night heading into the All-Star break. They needed a win after losing their last two at home. The Lakers beat Dallas 124-104, a game in which LeBron made more history. At age 41, LeBron became the oldest NBA player to post a triple-double, 28 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. The Lakers go into the break with a 33-21 record, fifth in the Western Conference. Tonight's NBA HBCU Classic at the Forum will be a conference game for Hampton University and North Carolina A&T. Both schools are now in the Coastal Athletic Conference after being longtime members in the MEAC Conference. This will be the sixth HBCU Classic during NBA All-Star Weekend. The NBA started the event in 2021 with the intent of creating more exposure for HBCU men's basketball programs. 8 o'clock tip-off tonight in Inglewood. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
We got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake,